See? I did not mean to do that. I did not. I did not.
I did not.
Oh, hi guys. So the new Heliod's really good. So I have to eat some humble pie here and admit that I've been very critical of how Wizards have handled White's colour identity, power level, and general design recently. And people are pointing to this card, saying that I'm wrong, and that White's now unequivocally the fucking tits. In this YouTube video, I'm going to talk about that, you fucks. But first, a very short history lesson. Well, Heliod is the sun god on Theros, and as far as I understand it, one of the key members of the Pantheon, playing the sort of Zeus role. He isn't the father figure to the other gods, as far as I can remember, but he is basically Zeus. He's a proxy of Zeus, with a bit of Helios thrown in. The original Heliod wasn't all that good. He saw very little play. I think perhaps in the green-white devotion deck as a mana sink, when you made so much mana you can make so many creatures of his activated ability, but a 4-mana indestructible creature that gave you guys vigilance just wasn't very good. Whilst he was actually one of the more underwhelming of the main gods in the original Theros block, he was a key part of the story. It was him who fought with Perforos and damaged his weapon that then fell to earth, and Elspeth collected it on her first time in Theros. This is sort of a retrospective story element I think we learn in the novel. Then when we finally come to actually be on Theros, Heliod is the character that champions Elspeth, makes her into the sun's champion, and then sort of pushes her on a hero's journey to go and stop Xenagos from partying the plane out of existence. We're a lore channel now, boy! What happens is Heliod grows jealous, or perhaps worried of the power level of this fucking chonking planeswalker who's stumbling around killing gods. And then when she's injured and or exhausted from the fight with Xenagos, Heliod just like fucking fucks her up. That's right, I'm using the technical term there. He fucking fucks her up. Body's given her to Ajani, and Ajani doesn't fight Heliod for reasons that I don't remember. I could have looked it up, but fuck it, let's move on. So the return of Heliod is pretty important for this set because he was essentially the villain of the first Theros block. Of course we have the storyline of the Xenagos Planeswalker ascending and taking over the empty slot in the Pantheon, the green-red slot. So he was perceived to be the villain at first, but Heliod portraying Elspeth was actually quite a cool twist that we didn't really know was coming. Interesting narrative direction that doesn't involve a huge war. I'm also going to talk about the fact that he's a white villain. Now, before you start typing it in the comment sections, on my video that discussed the power level of white before it's in the colour in Magic, I made a little bit of a joke at the beginning, but like, you know, don't assume this is about race. And then the comments in that video were fucking horrendous. They were the worst comments. I had to delete more comments than I've ever had to delete before, because not only do I have people joking about race, they got very fucking boring very fucking fast, so behave yourself. But secondly, it just lured all the racists out of the woodwork, who are just shouting about dumb shit like white genocide. If you're watching this and thinking about making one of those comments, go fuck yourself. Alongside Elish Norn, Heliod is an example of a white character that ended up being the villain, showing that white isn't just the goody two-shoes hero, gain some life sort of thematic part of the pie that it often gets lumped with. And I think it's cool to demonstrate to new players, or even established players that don't give a shit about the lore as much, that it's a bit more intricate and interesting when you look into the things behind each of the colours, the motivations and the things they can achieve. In Magic the Gathering, the white part of the colour pie can be about authority at any cost. It can be about, essentially, fascism or dictatorship. And that's what Heliod is. Heliod is basically trying to be some godlike dictator, and he doesn't want anyone to challenge his power, and that's why he killed my beloved Elspeth. So that's who or what Heliod is. So him coming back is a big thing for me. I'm excited to see what the card is. And this got spoiled yesterday, about an hour or two after I'd uploaded my video talking about what I wanted to see from the set. And I hadn't actually really talked about Heliod, which is weird. I guess I just assumed he would be in the set, so I didn't need to be like, oh, I want him to be in the set, because we knew there'd be another Heliod card, right? He has to be there as part of the arc for Elspeth. And this is Heliod Suncrowned, a 3-mana legendary enchantment creature god. For those of you who don't know, all the gods in Theros were legendary enchantment creatures that are only creatures when you have a devotion high enough. So for the single colour ones, it's this devotion to 5 in this set. And again, to give some clarity and some understanding to people who weren't here for original Theros, who haven't played much with the gods, they're creatures in all zones except for in play until the devotion quota is met. So for example, if you're looking to put a creature from your hand into play, Heliod is a creature in your hand. He's also a creature in your deck, he's a creature in the graveyard, he's a creature on the stack. He just ceases to be a creature whilst in play until your devotion is at 5 or higher. And it gives 1, as all the gods do, they give 1 devotion anyway. So you start at 1 devotion. So you need 4 more pips of white to make Heliod a 5/5 indestructible creature for 3 mana, which is a pretty good rate. Let's be real. I mean, it reminds me of Ronus, which was the other 3 mana 5/5 that was relatively easy to turn on from the Amonkhet block. And I played Ronus for a little while in Abzan midrange in Modern. All the gods appear to have some sort of static ability. In this case, Heliod has basically what turns other creatures into a Journey's Pridemates. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature enchantment you control. It says, interestingly, or enchantment, not enchantment creature. So you can actually put a +1/+1 counter on, let's say, an Oblivion Ring, which is pretty funny. And I look forward to doing that weirdly in a video at some point and being like, haha, look how funny I am doing this thing that the card lets me do. The reason for this is so that you can put counters on Heliod himself before the devotion is online. Or at least that's what I understand from it. Or that's what it appears to be at first glance. It's a very tidy and simple answer to the whole not being a creature a lot of the time, but it also lists some really cool interactions where you could put +1/+1 counters on enchantments and then turn those enchantments into creatures. For example, if we have any spells in the new Theros block that turn an enchantment into a creature, that would be cool. And also, it allows you to then like play Opalescence down the line or the Starfield of Nyx, pump up your enchantments and get into the red zone. So this effect is strong, but not really all that unique. We've seen it on Pridemate before, and we've seen it on some black cards more recently as well in War of the Spark. It's not very exciting, but it's very powerful. So this is one of the issues I think we're going to have with white cards going forward, is that we will have powerful white cards, as we've seen with Magic, as we've seen with this very block and what we're going to come to in a moment. This set is going to be pushed probably similarly to Throne of Eldraine, so pushing power levels is easy. You just make cards better than former cards at doing the same thing or doing similar. The bit that I was complaining about white is that its color pie is just fucking... Its wedge of the color pie is like this, where the rest of the colours do everything else. It's gain life, make tokens, and put counters on things, right? And this is 2 of those things combined in a very strong and powerful iteration. I get that. I think this card's going to be seeing a lot of constructive play, which we're going to come to in a moment. But I mean, I just want to see something more unique in white. And I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to say Smothering Tithe is the best example of this, because Smothering Tithe is a relatively unique thing. Giving yourself treasures is something that white perhaps could have in its color identity as a norm. It needs something to give it an advantage compared to all the other cards that get to draw cards either temporarily or just full stop, and white doesn't get that for some reason. I literally don't know why. Just give white some fucking card draw. So Heliod has this ability on him, but he also has another ability, an activated ability for 2 mana. Another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. So he enables himself. He is an engine, as it were. He doesn't need other cards to make him better. He just does the thing on his own. The great thing about the gods and the devotion is that basically the rest of your deck will do the heavy lifting for him. So in a vacuum, he can seem incredibly powerful. Like I mentioned with Ronus earlier, he just needs like a big Tarmogoyf or a Grimflare to turn him on. And I guess that's an easier requirement than having another 4 pips of white, but don't forget white's like gameplay identity is going wide, so having those pips isn't that difficult. Imagine, for example, in past standards, things like Banalish Marshal, for example, and stuff like that. There will be something like that in this set or the next to enable devotion, so getting one line to be a 5/5 won't be that difficult. So all in all, card seems pretty good. The place where it gets really busted, and I say this quite a lot, so people are going to laugh and take the piss here, similar to Split the Twin, is when you combine it with Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista is an artifact creature, a 0 CMC artifact creature, where its mana cost is XX. So you can pay 2 mana to make a 1/1, or 4 mana to make a 2/2. And then, what Walking Ballista can do is it can take counters off itself to shoot the opponent. Now, if you give it lifelink and it has 2 counters on it, you remove 1 counter, shoot the opponent for 1 damage. Heliod triggers, you put a counter back on Walking Ballista, and then you shoot the opponent again, and voila! We have a 2-card infinite combo. Whoops!
It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not
mean to print another bannable 2-card combo.
Split the Twin did nothing wrong. Don't forget the lyrics to the song. Competitive diversity is a bullshit excuse. Wizards should unban Twin and let the players choose. Yeah.
Perfect.
Now, the obvious comparisons to this are Splinter Twin. It's probably not as good as Splinter Twin. The cards themselves, each of them are individually perhaps better than the parts of Splinter Twin. Heliod is a lot better than Twin itself, and Walking Ballista, on the whole, is better than Pestamite. I mean, Pestamite's still pretty good at being a tempo card, I guess. So it's not as good as Splinter Twin, but it's not far off. The other comparison is Saheeli Cat combo. Saheeli Rai and Felidar Guardian. And don't forget, Felidar Guardian got banned for the sins of Saheeli Rai. But let's talk about where this will see play. So I think this is a playable combo in Modern, in Legacy, in Vintage, and I think Pioneer is where its real home will be, if only momentarily. This is an easy to assemble combo. Bearing in mind, for example, in Legacy there is already Bomberman, a purely white deck that combos with Lion's Eye Diamond, Walking Ballista, and Auriok Salvages. Adding one more moving part to all of that, that also might like combo with some of the spell bombs and stuff that give you life. It's not a stretch. It probably isn't as good as the core combo, but it's definitely a route you could take the deck. Vintage is a similar story, some sort of Bomberman variant, I guess. I can't say I've played a whole lot of Vintage in the last year or two, so I can't make a really big comment about this, but again, it's at least playable. In Modern, it could slot straight into the Soul Sisters shell, where you're getting a shit ton of life anyway, which makes Heliod just really fucking good. And Walking Ballista is it's just that good. It's just a colourless answer. It's a colourless answer and a threat. It kills things, it kills opponents, it fights in combat, it's a mana sink, it combos with Heliod. It's almost like Walking Ballista is a little bit too good and should serve as a warning for the future of card development within Magic. It's almost like perhaps a handsome bearded YouTuber, perhaps the best beard in esports entertainment, maybe made a video on this, and you all should go watch it. Comment in the comment section telling me, you can't ban everything you don't like, Vince. Fucking shut up. So that's Modern. Soul Sisters is a place to put it, or just a dedicated combo deck. Don't forget Devoted Druid combo decks already exist where Walking Ballista is the payoff, and this is perhaps better? Unsure, but it can fit into the same deck. And then we have Pioneer, which is a format where we're all trying to find the best combo deck, whether it be just Ascendancy or the Ral Lotus Storm thing, or this. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this card, or perhaps Walking Ballista itself, won't last in Pioneer after 12 months. I genuinely believe this combo is good enough to get one of these cards banned. The interesting thing will be whether or not like another white card dies for another card's sins. Like, I kind of wish the cat was legal, because I'd more likely to play that than Sahili, but I get that Sahili is probably a more unique card than Fellow Guardian, so I get that banning. The question is, will more cards in future get broken by Heliod? Or will more cards in future get broken by Walking Ballista? Pretty sure it's the latter, right? I guess Walking Ballista is a key part of like RAM strategies and hardened scales and all this shit, but who fucking cares? The card was a mistake. The Machine Gun Bastard, as much as I think the card is very good and I enjoy playing with it, is too fucking good. So yeah, that's my prediction. One of these cards won't make it for the next 12 months. And then lastly, the interesting thing about Heliod is that it makes other shit white cards better. In my video about white and its identity crisis and its problems, I talk about how Linden the Steadfast Queen was the shittest legendary in the set, barring the other white uncommon one. And I still hold by that not only is it not very powerful on its own, but it's also just boring as shit. But let's talk about how it's quite an obvious setup for Heliod, and perhaps it's depowered because they knew in testing it was too good with Heliod. Because in theory they test standard, right? They don't test Pioneer or Modern or Legacy or Vintage or Cube or whatever, but perhaps they do test standard and would have known this was too good with Heliod if it was more powerful than it currently is. It is a triple white pipped creature. So Linden, she enables Heliod off the bat in the way that I mentioned about Banach Marshall earlier. She's a Vigilant 3/3, which is perfectly fine stats. But the fact is, whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. Not one or more. It's not one instance. Every time you attack with multiple creatures, it triggers multiple times. If you're attacking with 4 creatures with Heliod in play, and probably Heliod himself, all of them trigger. That's 4 individual triggers. That's 4 pumps. And you get to put those wherever you want prior to the opponent going to blocks. So you can dump it all onto a token. You can make Linden a huge vigilant threat that's akin to a fucking Batterskull or Baneslayer at that point. This card actually is really good with Heliod. Which leads me to my point that Heliod is kind of the Lifegain payoff that we've been wanting for a little while, alongside, I guess, Pridemate and the agility that makes Pridemates. And that's cool. I think it's good that they're going to make the dull shit thing that white does a lot better with cards like this. I'm just hoping that they'll give white some extra cool shit to do, whilst blue, black, red and green do everything. And white's like, well, don't worry, I'll gain you some life, you bitch! Dark Source is another card that I sort of ragged on Twitter quite badly, and in the video that I made, but mainly because he's just, again, a bit boring. He's a fat-bottomed lad that gains you life. Cool. But again, double white pip, gains your life whenever a creature enters the battlefield or dies, so it triggers Heliod. Yeah, all these cards are going to make some sort of like Soul Sistery white weenie deck in Standard actually pretty good. If there is an aggro deck, if like red comes back, if we have like Fanatic of Mogus on crack get printed in the next couple of days, then yeah, the white deck's going to actually have a good position in the metagame as well. As I was talking, my dog, my little puppy, Bovril, just took a piss on the carpet right in front of me. Bovril. I guess I can't really mention him without showing him. He's been in a couple of videos on stream now, but this is my new puppy, Bovril, I've been looking after over Christmas. God, he's gorgeous, but he keeps pissing absolutely everywhere. You pissy little bastard. You pissy little bastard. Right, where were we? I've cleaned up the piss, showing my dog. Oh, Heliod, yeah, okay, he's pretty good. If not good, then pretty fucking busted. I think he is borderline busted. So as much as I complain that white needs some more shit to do and some more interesting elements to the colour pie, I do think that Heliod's actually quite a strong and thorough design. He's a white god after all, so it makes sense that he does something that white does a lot but does it very well, or gives the payoff for doing it, for doing these things that show that you're devoted to the cause of white magic and mana. So all in all, yeah, I think this is good. People were tweeting at me, waiting for me to rip it apart because I guess as a community we're incredibly negative. I guess people in general are negative. And it's much funnier to circle jerk and criticize things, you know, cinema sin style, instead of actually like understanding or engaging with something. White needs more to do, but Heliod's actually really cool. That's my takeaway. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below. Leave me a comment telling me what you think of the new Heliod and whether I'm full of shit. For more audience engagement, do you like bean juice? This is a nice coffee my wife got me for Christmas. Pushed through a hydro press. Small splash of milk in the morning with a bit of caramel syrup for a real wake me up sweet drink. Normally I drink it black. How do you like your bean juice? Tell me in the comment section below. If you haven't already, subscribe to me here on YouTube. Click the bell icon to know when videos go live, because YouTube won't fucking tell you. Go and follow me over on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram to see pictures of my dog and my food. And follow me on Twitch where I stream and shout about dicks a lot. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. My t-shirt's actually got a hole in it. I forgot about that. It's actually a real casual t-shirt. I'm actually wearing pajama bottoms right now with bananas on them. This is a real casual, like, it's New Year's Day. Should I even be making content? Yes, I fucking should. The grind never stops.